Window displays. A window display is there for a number of reasons. It is there to communicate a theme or a promotion. It is designed to excite and to entice customers. Ultimately, it's designed to give the customer a reason to come into your store right now. I want your window display to stop me in my tracks and get me to come into your store now. Big high street brands will spend a lot of money in order to maximise their windows. Why? Because they know it draws customers in, and it draws them in their droves. In a moment, we'll look at some specific techniques you can apply when designing a window display for your store. But before I do, I would like you to think about your window display in a slightly different way. Imagine that your window was a billboard. What would it cost you per month to have a billboard the size of your window display in its current location? If you invested this amount of money for a billboard, what would you have on it? What would you put on that large poster? Well, I would imagine you would probably fill the space. After all, you're paying for it. I would think your message would be big and bold in large fonts. The visuals would not be limited to the bottom third of the poster, but would fill the entire space. The background would be solid, possibly contextualizing the message or simply keeping the attention on the words. And finally, an effective billboard would have some call to action, i.e., it would get the customer to do something. Take us up on this offer, join us on this event, come and see our new line of products. Okay, if that's how you'd use a billboard, I consider your store window is a billboard for your business, and that you approach it using exactly the same way of thinking. But this time it's going to be three-dimensional. It's going to utilize products and props. This is your opportunity to talk to your customers, to tell them about your products, to tell them about your offers, to excite and entice them into your store. Okay, you should look to refresh it at least every 4 to 6 weeks. And it should be designed not only to communicate to pedestrians, but the vehicles that pass your store too. To be honest, in most cases, significantly more customers pass your store in cars or in public transport than do on foot. These should also be targeted by your window displays. Common mistakes retailers make when designing a window display are that the windows are too cluttered. A potential customer has a lot of work to do when deciding if they want to come into your store, whilst walking past or towards your shop. Considering research that points to a 10% increase in the speed that we walk now compared to a decade ago, not only are we walking faster, but we may have to be negotiating passing traffic, other pedestrians, pavement signs and canvassers, while simultaneously trying to digest your window, your offer, whether you're at a suitable price point for me, or even whether I might be embarrassed to be walking in and out of your store. Too much stock or clutter in your window is going to make it even harder for me to make that decision. A second area of focus is seasonality. Now, seasonality creates urgency. Now, we heard about urgency and scarcity as powerful driving forces to human beings in a previous workshop. But by using seasonality, we can trigger these instincts. Seasonality can extend a selling period, getting us to think about events like Valentine's and Christmas long before we really need to. It can also be used to build relevance around your product, linking it imaginatively to a given period of the calendar. For instance, books for summer holidays, barbecues for big sporting events, DIY and power tools at Christmas, and so on. Window dressers or visual merchandisers will often use a window to tell a story. This is particularly effective if you have multiple windows, as the story can unfold as you pass one window to the next. But equally, with a single window display, the clever use of props and scenery can help create pictures in the customer's mind that ultimately bring the products to life. Quirky window displays are great and they catch our eye, but be mindful that you always want the customer to do something specific, i.e. come into the store. Remember, something being different does not necessarily mean we want to buy it. Things that move catch our eyes, animated figures, moving lights or video images. And finally, setting the scene. A window display that focuses on a particular product, maybe 1 or 2 outfits on mannequins, will only be effective if the customer likes those particular outfits. When you use props, lights and backdrops, you can create a scene. This may still communicate an idea, stimulate and entice a customer regardless of whether they like the particular outfit or product that's on display or not. In my experience, a key aspect of this is the backdrop. A professional window dresser or visual merchandiser commissioned to create a window display for a high street store will typically work in 3 layers. 1. A backdrop, where the window will typically be boxed in. This may be draped fabric, rolls of paper, large-scale photography, or a blank physical wall. It is rare that a leading retailer will let you see through the window display into the store. However, the independent retail sector, shop owners have convinced themselves that customers need to be able to see through the window display into their store. With few exceptions, I would say introduce a backdrop, ideally that contextualizes the product or the story you're trying to communicate, and keep the eyes on the display. Don't let them look into the store. The second layer for a professionally created window display is the products and/or the props. If you are using props, they are designed to contextualize the products again. There are companies out there that specialize in providing props for events and display, and if this is not cost effective for you, why not contact other retailers in the town or your local theatre group? The third and final layer is to utilize the glass. Where possible, a professional window dresser or visual merchandiser will apply vinyls, decals or stickers onto the glass, and this is done to create a depth of field. The result of applying graphics to the glass is that the display starts at the glass rather than the displayed products behind it. It's not unlike Walt Disney's innovative approach to film and animation with multiple layers. It is also an easy and cost-effective way to communicate text and straplines within a window display. Now here's a rule I apply to all window displays. If it's not big and it's not bold, your message is probably not being told.